Massachusetts, So like it real life snows. 6 feet,
6 feet. Oh,
It's
that's a
gray,
lot.
and you still go to school. When I
6 inches.
like could be 6 feet for real. When I was stationed in Chicago, we went to boot camp, 2015. January 27th was the day I landed in Chicago. A week later, that
It's
massive.
really crazy how you remember dates.
I mean, these are like pretty important dates.
Yeah, like the actual date.
Yeah, that blizzard hit that next week.
Mm.
The El Nino blizzard,
El Nino.
6 feet, legit. Like we're marching in formation in boot camp in the snow, like up to here. Like they carved a path
I
just
would
for
have
us to
cried.
just for us to march in the snow, like up there. I remember when we was marching in the middle of the blizzard the night before it all stuck. Snow was coming in sideways as we're marching, like. And it's Tuesday. It's a random Tuesday.
Random
It's
Tuesday.
not even like a big event about to happen. Now we're just going from one space to another. So yeah, like so when the snow like is like sleep for real, it's so disappointing because you see these big chunks of snow coming down. You're thinking
So
it's about to
disappointing.
stick.
Oh.
All the kids are like, "Oh my god, finally!" And then it goes away. Like, what happened to Virginia? What happened to our snow? We used to legit get snow out here.
So this is not global warming?
I don't believe in global
I
warming.
know you don't. That's what I'm asking. So I'm like, what is it then if it's not global warming?
It's the global tectonic shift that happens every like 2,500 years. Like the Earth spins on an axis,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a perfect circle or sphere. Yeah, sphere, not cylinder, sphere. I don't have a good representation. I don't have any balls in here. I got one for you. Hold up. Check this out.
I don't have any balls in here.
Thanks, Dior. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't remember where it was at. So boom. Chat. You can watch this shit too. It's some shit I learned in astrophysics class. The Earth is a perfect circle, sphere, right? It spins on this axis. But there's a slight tilt. There's a slight tilt. And as it rotates over the course of like 2,500 years, it tilts the other direction slightly. You and I will never feel that tilt.
Mm-hmm.
We'll never feel it. Nobody will ever feel, but there are scientists that track this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we've tilted to the point where we're closer to the equator now. So that's like this area. And so that's why it doesn't snow as much here
As
until
it
like
used to.
like February. It's gotta hit February before you really get like good snow.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of that minute tilt that no human will ever feel, but the world knows it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have the polar ice caps that were melting all crazy, still melting all crazy.
The ice caps are melting.
In 2,500 years, they'll freeze up again because they'll tilt
We're all
away.
gone.
We'll all be gone. We just
We'll all be gone.
we just got birthed in a relatively warmer time.
Hmm.
But I won't blame global warming because they're trying to blame global warming on methane production.
Methane.
And I told you about methane.
You did tell me about methane.
Chat, I ain't tell y'all about methane, so check this shit out, right? So when we had dinosaurs on this planet, they were shitting like massive turds, like huge, humongous turds, like fully loaded SUV, family of five type turds, right? So those turds produced methane, which was absorbed into the plant. So if you look at prehistoric fauna, you would see like the smallest plant is like today's elephant ears. Good reference, right?
Mm-hmm.
The smallest plant is from back then is like today's elephant ears. And if you ever seen the leaves on elephant ears, they're massive. But that was the norm back then because methane produces bigger plants, bigger fauna. The same way like if you do electro gardening with like copper wires and stuff, you get ultra big plants. The same exact principle goes. So yeah, the more you know about science, right? Me, I'm just a well of knowledge. I just be finding out random information. Like I'll watch an interview, and if it's interesting enough, I'm not just gonna take the guy's word for it. I'm gonna go find out about it for myself. Cause why not, right? Damn, I look good on this camera. Shit. Huh? All right. What's up, young man? Hey, So enough of the side conversation. Welcome back to the Quachi Show. Happy to have you guys here. It's actually like my first show since being diagnosed with bronchitis. I tried to get to you guys all week, but I was just like super subconscious about like the amount of coughing I was doing. Like my chest kind of gets like congested still. They gave me an inhaler to try to combat this. It's not the contagious bronchitis. That is acute bronchitis. That one can actually kill you. This one just it's just aggravating. So eventually all this stuff will clear up. But I couldn't let this week go by without hollering at y'all about these NFL games that's coming up. Right? Some pretty big games this weekend. Some pretty big news that happened over the week. Obviously the games this weekend are big. It's the divisional round of the playoffs. The top 8 teams. The next 2 teams go to the conference championship. Then after that, we got the Super Bowl. So we're winding down the season, but really turning up. You feel me? We're winding down, but turning up at the same time. If the Patriots make that Super Bowl, though, we'll have a Super Bowl party over here. If they don't make the Super Bowl, I'll see you guys at Saks. Unless Saks playing music. If the DJ playing music during the Super Bowl, I'm leaving because I want to hear the announcers talk. We got to make that a thing again, man. Back in the day, you could go to a sports bar and they not playing music loud as fuck the whole game. Like you can actually hear the announcers talk. And if you go to like the white folks sports bar, they actually, you can hear the announcers talk because people want to be immersed in the game. For some odd reason, when you go to like, when it's odd people throwing like a party for sports or something, for some odd reason, they think people want to hear music. I don't want to hear music, bro. Turn the music off. Let me hear the announcers talk because they're talking about some interesting things that you might not even catch. You're going to be asking yourself, like, in the third quarter, damn, where's my favorite player at? What happened to him? He's probably injured, but you wouldn't know that because you can't hear the announcers talk. And they are probably having a conversation about it. Like when George Kittle went down, they're like, oh, man, this is going to really make things difficult for the offense. I mean, they were talking about that. George Kittle went down, the second quarter? They talked about that throughout the entire game. But imagine if you couldn't hear the game. Now you're looking like a goofy from Walufi because you're asking questions to the next man. But the game is still going. The next man don't know because the DJ playing loud ass music. Turn the music off. Turn the music off. Let's hear the announcer speak. We can party after the game. Just turn the music off. That's all I'm asking for all the DJs in the DMV during these Super Bowl parties. Turn the music off. We want to hear the game. We want to be immersed in the game. We want to be part of the NFL experience, right? I know we're at your party, whatever. Don't nobody give a fuck. If we're there, 9 times out of 10, we not there to listen to music. We're there to just congregate with our friends and watch the game. You playing all this loud ass music. Don't nobody even dance no more. Nobody goes to the club to dance anymore. So what is all this loud ass music for? Turn that shit off. Let's hear the game. Let's dive into these topics though. That was a nice little soliloquy. We talked about a couple things that ain't got nothing to do with what I'm talking about today. Shout out to a few good pieces. Shout out to Homebread. Support your local DMV designers. Support local brands. You know what I mean? Make these local brands national, and then we can take it international. You feel me? We can scale up. You know, so shout out to the guys that's really doing their thing out here. So let's start this thing off, right? So earlier this week, the NFL got shook up with some crazy news. First, we started with John Harbaugh, right? Harbaugh got let go from the what you call them boys? From the Ravens. Harbaugh got let go from the Ravens, and then we followed it up with Mike Tomlin stepping down from the Steelers. I heard some news about that, by the way. I heard it was very emotional. I heard like players were like sobbing, you know. I was told Aaron Rodgers was like, no, it's my fault. I'm sorry. You know, Aaron, it's not your fault, man. Look, the Steelers for the past how many years? I mean, the NFL has evolved. The NFL has become a new game. It's more offensive leaning. The penalties lean towards the offense. The referees are looking to protect offensive players. Everything about the NFL is about we want to see points, we want to see plays, we want to see superstars. The NFL don't mind if the defense putting up points. They don't mind. They're not trying to destroy defenses, but they're trying to emphasize and highlight offenses. So with that being said, every team is expected to pivot. You got to pivot into what is actually you got to pivot into what's actually important. You got to pivot into what the new meta is, and the new meta is offense, right? So if you don't have your offense straightened out, you're gonna get smoked almost every single game. It is what it is, And if you're investing all your money on defensive players, guess what? You're not gonna have enough money to shore up your offense. On top of that, I mean, that's the Steelers' culture. The Steelers' culture was defense, so that's why they were so content with just continuing to invest in defense, defense, defense. That's all they cared about was defense. Hold on, right quick. Let me mic check, 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 check. There we go. There we go. Too loud, too loud. Check, 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 check. All right, we're good here. All right, we're good right here. Yeah, Steelers were too busy investing in defense nonstop. So that led to a lack of offensive talent. And that's the oldest roster in the league. One of the oldest rosters in the league, quite frankly. Let me fix that again. And so they just ran into an issue where they just didn't have the firepower or the offensive ability to just compete with a lot of these teams. So like this year, for example, you see Aaron Rodgers came in. They never really got a consistent flow. Like, they win one game, lose one game, win two games, lose one game, win one game, lose two games. So they just kept going back and forth, back and forth. There was never any consistent performance from the offense, which led to inconsistent performances from the defense. Because what happens when the defense is on the field? Forever. They get tired, they get exhausted. And once your defense is on the heels, offenses like to just lean on you, right? So they just start to run the ball, just run it down your throat. Keep your defense on the field, keep your offense on the sideline. Nobody gets to rest. These are long drives, 13-play drives, 14-play drives. So unfortunately, the Steelers just never got their offense right. They couldn't get their O-line right. They couldn't get their run game right. The fans were starting to boo. They're starting to yell like, fire Mike Tomlin, fire Mike Tomlin. And Mike, I think he took the right route. I think he decided, I want to protect my legacy. I still have a great name in the NFL. I'm still a great coach. I could probably take a year off, go to a network, right? Maybe go to Fox, go to CBS, NBC, one of them, ABC, ESPN, go to a network, start to connect with other coaches, start to find out the people that I need to keep around me, start to learn about these young offensive minds, these young offensive talents, and then bring yourself back into the NFL, not this year, next year. Give yourself a year off, spend some time with your family, build up your offensive knowledge. Find people that can really get your offense to the next level, right? And also build up your scouting team, people that you trust in scouting. I was told that Mike Tomlin had a very, very heavy-handed role in drafting. And if you look at his first round draft picks, I think he's only had 2 Pro Bowlers in the past 15 years. That's on the offensive side. That's like Bill Belichick territory. That's unsustainable, right? That means your offensive players just aren't developing, or you're overdrafting untalented players, thinking that you can develop them into players that are productive. But as you can see, the offense just never got off this snide. So Steelers have to go in a whole new direction. I wish the best for Mike Tomlin. I know he's going to land on his feet. He's a great, great man, first and foremost. He's a great man, first and foremost. Inspirational, leader of men, very inspirational. I have all the faith in the world that he's going to land on his feet, wherever his next job is. But like I said, I would highly suggest him just take that year off. You feel me? Figure out this offense. Figure out everything that you got to go on. Try to get away from leaning so heavily on experience. If you look at the Steelers team this year, they have one of, if not the oldest roster in the NFL. So With that being said, you need to find a way to get your teams younger, right? Sorry, that's the bronchitis. You got to find a way to get your teams younger. You got to find a way to get your teams faster, right? More aggressive, and just all in all, just more talented. The Steelers are just missing out on talent. Like, you look at their defense, right? You spend so much money on defense, yet your defense gives up so much. And that's because you're relying on old players that come from a different time in the NFL. So Steelers, you just have to pivot, get younger as a team. I would suggest trading JJ. I think that's who's on the team, right? JJ Watt. Oh, no, not JJ. Excuse me. For the Steelers, I would suggest you trade TJ Watt. Um, there are some Super Bowl bubble teams that will give you a haul for that player because they're in that window. You know what I'm saying? They're in that window where it's like you got 1 to 2 years left in this initial window where you can win a Super Bowl. You just have to stack up on talent. So trade him. Go get you. Maybe TJ's kind of old. I'm not gonna lie to you. You can get maybe a second, maybe a third, maybe 1 second, 1/3, maybe 1 second this year, third round next year. You feel me? The goal right now is just to get younger. You know, we can worry about really the talent on the back end, but the goal is to get younger. The Steelers need to get a good head coach that's gonna maintain the culture. I ain't about to hold you. Steelers are a good culture team, so you got to get a guy that can maintain that kind of culture, but bring in an offensive mindset that's just going to really pivot that team into the new NFL, into this generation of NFL. Aaron Rodgers, I would advise just retire. Your time's done. Retire. It would behoove you. Don't go back to the Steelers. Or if you do go back to the Steelers, it might actually be clutch because then the Steelers can maybe get somebody like Ty Simpson on the back end of the first round. Let him sit behind A-Rod for a year, maybe for half the year. We'll see what Aaron Rodgers is looking like post-Thanksgiving. If he's producing, just let him finish out the season. Let Ty come in next year. Remember, Steelers don't fire people. Steelers don't fire coaches. So whoever's coming in as the next head coach, just understand you have a lot of runway. You have a lot of runway to make things happen that first year, so that second year you're good to go. If you don't get Ty Simpson this season, this draft, tank. The Patriots didn't get Drake May by being mediocre, by worrying about a winning record. You feel me? The Bears didn't worry about maintaining a winning record. The Commanders had an awful season before they got Jaden Daniels. They weren't worried about a winning record. This whole idea that we maintained a winning record all these years, mediocrity can sometimes net you great things, right? Sometimes. And in the NFL, all the time, because you get a higher pick. Right now, the Steelers are in no man's land. They're in like this realm where you don't get anything good for the effort that you put in because you're knocked out that first round. You don't get anything great for being knocked out in that first round because you're so far away from those early round draft picks. Like, you're picking in the 20s now. The minute you make it into the playoffs, you're picking in the 20s minimum. So that kind of limits what you finna do in that draft in terms of getting an actual quarterback in the program. You feel me? So Ty Simpson got to be QB2 out of the draft because your boy from Oregon, he not coming out, thank goodness. I didn't want to see him go to the Jets and have his career ruined anyway, so fuck the Jets. Let's pivot real quick. John Harbaugh, congratulations. I really, really, really like this play right here. I like seeing John Harbaugh go to the Giants. That's all the Giants were missing for was a culture setter. They needed an established head coach who knew how to build a program and knew how to build a culture. Since Tom Coughlin, I mean, the Giants have just been like circling the drain before they finally got flushed. They just been circling the drain. Coughlin came in and established a culture and brought 2 Super Bowls with it. Now, you might say, oh, his teams didn't win 14, 15 games. Doesn't matter. So long as you make it into the playoffs, you have an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl. And he got 2. On our heads, on the Patriots' heads, he got 2 of them. So you got to remember, the Giants, all they needed was culture. They already got Jackson Dart, who I think is going to be their quarterback of the future. And remember, Drake May, his rookie season, how many games did we win? 4? And people weren't really, if you weren't a Patriots fan, you were looking at Drake May like, oh, well, there he goes, just another bust. But if you were a Patriots fan, you saw the talent because you watched every game, every minute of every game. So you saw, oh, there's talent there. We just need an actual head coach, not Gerard fucking Mayo. So, that's all. So we got Mike Vrabel, and see what we did. What we're on this season. We won our first playoff game in 7 years. Like, we're on to the divisional round. We play tomorrow. It's amazing. So I think John Harbaugh can have that same exact effect. You got guys like, who I said, Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboo, Malik Neighbors. You got that defensive line, which is crazy, with young talent like Abdul Carter just sitting there waiting for it, like, just waiting for his opportunity to get right. Now, he had a up and down rookie season just because of off the field issues, some disciplinary issues. But you got a guy like John Harbaugh coming in. He's going to straighten that out ASAP. He's going to straighten that out in a jiffy, or you're not going to be there. Simple as that. The Giants are set up for success. I feel sad for the NFC East because a lot of you guys had an opportunity. The Commanders had an opportunity. I mean, you still got Jaden Daniels, so you still have an opportunity and a decent head coach over there. But is Dan Quinn better than John Harbaugh? The Cowboys, you're still dilly-dallying with second and third rate head coaches. You guys are bullshitting down there. Jerry Jones doesn't want to spend that money on an actual head coach, on a legitimate head coach, and that's his problem. That's why the Cowboys will always be in a realm of mediocrity. I'm sorry, but that's the issue. And so you got all this talent and a mediocre head coach. Cowboys going to win, what, 7 to 9 games next season, maybe 10. And then the Eagles, you still got Nick Sirianni as your head coach. He's not a good head coach. You got Jalen Hurts as your quarterback. He's not a franchise quarterback. He can't see in the middle of the field. He can't see. Any game where he throws 30 plus more attempts, they lose. And look, they just got bounced out that first round. I'm trying to warn you guys, don't end up with a Russell Wilson on your hands. Hey, trade him. You don't want to listen. Fine. Now you got to deal with John Harbaugh and Jackson Dart. The month of September is going to be difficult for them because they're going to be getting their groove. You feel me? They're going to be establishing their offense, getting everything straight. But come October, November, December, just like the Patriots, I see the Giants doubling their win total next season. I can see them getting like 10 wins, 11 wins. Remember, they're going to have a last place schedule and a first place A+ head coach and a franchise quarterback. It's almost automatic right there. That might be 10 wins right there. So, sorry, NFC East. Y'all had y'all opportunity, but John Harbaugh about to have that division for the next 15, 20 years. It is what it is. You see what Baltimore, he had Baltimore competing every single year. I think they had one down year. He won a Super Bowl with Flacco. Miss me with that. You see what when Lamar Jackson came to the when Lamar Jackson came to the Baltimore Ravens, they had already, like, Harbaugh established, hey, we are going to surround Jackson with every tool that he needs to succeed. We're going to change our entire offense so that it caters to Lamar Jackson. We're going to bring in coaches that can cater to what Lamar Jackson does. You think Jackson Dart is any different? Jackson Dart might not be as fast, but he's just as athletic. He's scrawny kid, but he's bigger than Lamar when Lamar first came there. It took Lamar a couple years to put on that weight, to put on that muscle for and he just got injured again this last season. So we'll see what's up, man. But I think I'm a market. Mark this day. It's January 17th, 2026 at 11:33 a.m. I'm letting y'all know the Giants are going to double their win total next season. At minimum, 8 wins, but I can see them getting up to 10, 11 wins. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm calling it. Hold me to it. I don't care. All right. And then you had Mike McDaniels getting let go of from the Dolphins. McDaniels gonna land on his feet as an offensive coordinator somewhere. He'll probably be head coaching again in like 3 to 5 years, because he's gonna go somewhere where, like, as an offensive coordinator, he'll be allowed to shine, right? So, what some teams need an offensive coordinator. The Baltimore Ravens just need an offensive guy. They have the culture there already. They just need an offensive guy that's gonna get Lamar Jackson to do his thing. Now, who that offensive guy is, I don't know. I don't really know who's, like, I know there's a lot of coaching candidates out there, but I don't really know. I haven't sat down yet to do, like, the research on whose offense is doing what, who's coming out, what, the bam, this, that, and the third. So all that information will come out on the back end in different shows, and I'm going to break it down. So long as nobody gets hired. So long as nobody gets hired for the Baltimore Ravens, we'll sit down and look at the prospects. McDaniels isn't going there, I promise you that. But we're at this point of the year where things are starting to shake up. As an NFL team without a head coach, here's the issue. The longer you wait to sign your head coach, right, the longer it takes for you to get the coordinators. The coordinators help the head coach be who he's supposed to be, good or bad. So you want to get your offensive coordinators, your defensive coordinators, your passing game coordinators, your linebacking coach, all that. You want to get all that stuff out the way off the early, right? So the Giants moved on Harbaugh off the early. So they're going to snatch him off the market, and then they're going to take the coordinators that come with him. And that's the difference between a good organization and a bad organization. You might have an organization like Arizona that might not sign their head coach till, like, after the Super Bowl. You got guys like Kevin Stefanski that's out there. He needs to get signed. He's going to get signed. I think he should go to Baltimore. I think Kevin Stefanski should go to Baltimore. Offensive head coach, extremely talented, 2-time Coach of the Year winner, and the Browns haven't won a playoff game in 20-something years, except for the 2 that he led his team to winning, him and Baker Mayfield. So he has the talent, he has the knowledge. He just needs the team. And you got to cut Kevin Stefanski some slack. Because understand, he's coming from a piss-poor organization that is the Cleveland Browns. Any player coming from bad organizations, you got to cut them some slack. So organizations like the Jets, fuck the Jets, bad organization. The Browns, bad organizations. The Raiders, bad organization. The Tennessee Titans, bad organization. You can normally identify these piss poor organizations by who's drafting at the top of the draft every single year. It 9 times out of 10, it's like the same teams. You might have 1 or 2 teams in there, but it's normally the same teams. Like, you had the Patriots draft in the top 5 2 years in a row. Now we're in the divisional round, so fuck off. So if a coach or first round talent comes from a bad organization, you got to give them a little bit more rope, a little bit more leeway, because I mean, bad organization, like, when you don't land in a good place, man, that's the thing about the NFL. The NFL is the only place where the most talented candidates go to the worst organizations. Any other industry, real talk, any other industry, bro. Like, if I graduate top of my class with honors from Harvard, I'm not going to the worst private equity firm. I'm probably going to get offers to go to the best private equity firm, the best Wall Street financial institution, or something like that. I'm going to the best place. I'm not about to get hired by the worst firm. In the NFL, the worse you do, the better the pick you get. And a lot of great players fall to bad places and their careers are over. And it's really sad. I ain't about to hold you. It's really sad. That's like the perfect segue into, like, my next topic. You got a guy like Sam Darnold, whose first team was the New York Jets. His first throw, his first ever pass in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken, was a pick 6. Can you believe that? it's almost like the stars are aligned. You feel me? It's almost like, all right, yeah, you in the shits now. Now we really about to show you the shits. His first ever pass was a pick six. Unreal. He was on camera having to go up against Bill Belichick talking about something like, I'm seeing ghosts. Because his team did not prepare him for the NFL, for the defenses he was about to see. You're in the AFC East. You play for the New York Jets. You know, twice a year you're about to face Bill Belichick. Your coaching staff isn't setting you up right for that if you're seeing ghosts. It's crazy. But now you see he's left that terrible organization. He bounced around the league for a couple years, but he's landed 2 years in a row. He's led his team to 13 win records. This year, he has the number one seed with the Seattle Seahawks, and they're going up against the 49ers. I'm taking the Seahawks with that one. I mean, it's two great quarterbacks. You know, you got Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold. But Sam Darnold is just bigger, stronger, faster. His arm is just better. Like, you know, he can rip through wind. Like, Sam is a full package athlete. He just had to get away from that bad organization and really get some good coaching under his belt. But he's a top tier athlete. The only thing he has to worry about is the interception, the turnovers, because the margin of error in the playoffs is significantly smaller than it is in the regular season. Remember, this is win or go home. So, Sam Darnold, you just have to worry about keeping the ball with your team when you have it. You have an amazing defense that's just flying all over the field. Remember, these are wild boys. These are boys that ain't got, like, they're just doing their own thing. You feel me? Like, not really. Obviously, they're following the scheme, the game plan, but they're utilizing their athleticism to the max. So it's really important that Sam Darnold just maintains the ball. Don't turn the ball over. Don't lose the game for your team. That's all I'm saying. Don't lose the game for your team because you have every tool necessary to win. The 49ers are coming into the 49ers are coming into this game without George Kittle. Now, if you look at Brock Purdy's record without George Kittle, it's pretty bad. They were able to get out of Philly without George Kittle, but that's just because Philly's a piss poor team. I mean, they always do all right in the first half and then completely die in the second half offensively. So they didn't really have to compete with you score, I score, you score, I score. They just had to catch up and take the lead. But without George Kittle against the Seattle Seahawks, this one's going to be significantly more difficult for the 49ers, man. Good team, man. Don't get me wrong. Good team. Kittle and the boys, they really need George Kittle for the 49ers. It's not like, oh, we can live without him. The team has suffered so many injuries. I mean, this season has been a season of just straight attrition. Everybody's just been falling out one after the other after the other. And these are like soft tissue ligament injuries. Like, these aren't like broken bones and stuff. No, these are like tears. There's actually a scientist that came out with a theory about this, and I'll post it. Something about like the electromagnetic field that's being produced by, like, I guess next to the 49ers practice facility, there's like an energy facility. Something that's producing energy for the whole like Bay Area, some shit like that. It's producing an electromagnetic field that is making the human body and the soft tissue in the human body weaker. I shit you not. This is a scientist doing research. Matter of fact, this is the exact theory. All right, it's from a scientist by the name of Peter Cohen. He tweeted this. Right, he said, there is a low frequency electromagnetic field (EMF) that's emitted by a nearby power station at their practice facility. Right, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they are entering this low frequency EMF field, and we all know about high frequency, low frequency. That shit is real. it has a true and honest effect on the human body. If it's mental or physical, low or high frequency, it has an effect, right? He says that low frequency EMF field is potentially degrading collagen and weakening tissues, but medical experts claim that this allegation is baseless. We're going to find out. Obviously they're going to do more research, but there's something going on with the 49ers and their stadium. It just seems like, remember that Super Bowl when Greenlaw ran onto the field and just what did he do? He tore his tricep or some shit like that. Like tore his bicep something. He tore his something in his chest, some muscle here. It was random. Did he run on the field or did he like celebrate or some shit? I think he might have celebrated after a sack or some shit and just tore his shit. Over time, you see all these players just getting like these soft tissue injuries. Who else is injured on that team that's on IR? And I mean, these are some of like their elite players too that are on IR. Nick Bosa, IR. Fred Warner, IR. Trent Taylor, IR. Like George Kittle, IR. Like everybody's like just falling out, bro. Like you have to attest this to something. So Peter Cohen, I'm gonna shout you out. That is a great theory. I want to know more on that, and that can actually extrapolate outward. You know, you can use that information to solve a ton of issues. If you're saying low frequency EMF fields have a negative effect on the human body, that is going to force a whole lot of regulation and stuff to come into play to protect the humans around power substations. I'm just saying, I think it's a great theory. Ultimately, I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks in this. This is an 8 p.m. game today. Everybody needs to make sure y'all catch that joint. It's going to be a hell of a game. This is round 3, another division round game between actual rivals, 49ers and Seahawks. They're going up into Seattle. They're going to have to deal with the 12th man. That's an animal in and of its own. So take the Seahawks with this one. What's the over-under? You know, forget the over-under, man. Go to Kelsey. I heard Kelsey, you're not even competing against the house. You're just competing against other people, man. Put your money on the Seattle Seahawks. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Kelsey today. Apparently, you could drop like $100 in there. They'll give you like $10. I don't have the code. I'm not sponsored, but I'm going to Kelsey. I'm about to figure that out. I'll be right back. I gotta clear my throat, man. This bronchitis whooping your boy ass. All right, look, I'm back. I'm about to wrap this up. We have one more topic to talk about. I just had a great side convo. I'm gonna try to get it on camera next time, but I have one more topic to talk about. We're looking at Buffalo is going to Denver today. So Josh Allen versus Bo Nix. Really, for real, is Josh Allen versus the Broncos. Again, I bet against Josh Allen last week with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that man put the team on his back. I mean, put the cape on and carried his team to victory. And that shit blew me because I don't want to see Josh Allen in the playoffs. He's my rival. And I'm afraid of a head-on collision between the Buffalo Bills at New England because they're not afraid to play there. And they beat us the last time they played there. Now, I'm confident in my team, but somebody need to knock off Josh Allen. Somebody got to do some work, man. Get this man up out of here, bro. He's too damn nice. Anyways, um, Buffalo Bills, again, they have a average team. Average at best team. Nothing really special, nothing really crazy. But they have to go up against the Broncos and their team. The Broncos have a complete team. We talked about them earlier. A couple weeks ago, we talked about just how well-rounded that team is from Bo Nix. Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, R.J. Harvey, an amazing offensive line, Evan Ingram at tight end. I mean, you go to their defense, you got Hufunga, you got Patrick Surtain II, Nick Benito, Dre Greenlaw. Like, you got guys on that team, real guys that can really make a change, like real live game changers. Nick Benito screaming off the edge. The only thing that the Denver Broncos have to worry about for real is Riley Moss. Riley Moss is their only weakness. But here's the thing. Buffalo can't capitalize off that weakness because they don't have any wide receivers worth a damn, right? Buffalo, I mean, they got Keon Coleman, but he ain't done nothing this year. For real, like, he might be labeled as a legit bust, and that's really unfortunate. I had a lot of hopes for Keon Coleman. I actually kind of wanted to draft him on our team. But off the field issues, lack of performance, healthy scratches. I mean, obviously the team just is not seeing that production up out of him. Where the Buffalo Bills are strong at is their tight ends, right? Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. I mean, Jackson Hawes just came out of nowhere, really their third tight end, and is really like producing. And he has to, because that's what the team relies on. Their tight ends. That's who makes the plays for that team. They're not really a wide receiver reliant team. So the Bills can't capitalize on what the Broncos defense is, which would be attacking Riley Moss. Riley Moss on the outside. They might try. Obviously, they still got a couple good players. Khalil Shakir. He's a guy. You know, he's one of them guys. Great slot receiver. He's their number one, but he really should be 2 or 3 on a good team. But he produces nonetheless. I actually really like Shakir. He's a problem. They got Brandon Cooks, signed him a couple weeks ago. He's actually made some amazing plays since joining the Buffalo Bills. Some clutch plays. He's really come in handy. I'm not going to lie to you. And that's tough to deal with. I hate to see the Buffalo Bills capitalize off like a journeyman out of nowhere. So I would see Brandon Cooks being lined up against Riley Moss, while they're gonna have Khalil Shakir in the slot and Keon Coleman probably lined up against Patrick Surtain. So they'll take him out of the game, of course, and then they're just gonna have to feast off of tight ends. So with that being said, I think I'm gonna take the Denver Broncos here. The Denver Broncos have a team advantage. They don't have a quarterback advantage, but they have a serviceable quarterback that can go toe-to-toe against Josh Allen. He can make the deep throws. He can make every throw, right? He has the experience. He can make every throw. They're playing in Denver, so you have the atmosphere. You have the altitude advantage. Denver is one of the few teams with an actual home field advantage because of that altitude, because of what it does to players in terms of fatigue, exhaustion. Josh Allen, again, he's not 100%. He went through a lot last week trying to get that W. You put that cape on, carried his team. I mean, a tush push that goes 10 yards. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about here, man? He's really one of one. He might be the best quarterback talent in the league as we speak. But I don't think they have enough to get over the Denver Broncos because unlike going up against Cohen for the Jacksonville Jaguars as a head coach, McDermott might have an advantage over him. This time, it's a little different. You're going up against Sean Payton. Sean Payton is a A+ head coach. So McDermott, who's maybe an A, B+ head coach, you're going up against better coaching talent. You're going up against a coach that is paying attention to everything that you got going on. And he's designing his offense to capitalize and attack your weaknesses on defense. So we'll hit a little different. So yeah, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. I got to bet against Josh Allen. I have to. We'll see how this goes. Just a quick preview for tomorrow's games. I'm gonna take the Patriots, obviously, and who else is playing tomorrow? I think I want to take the Bears, but we'll see what happens with today's games. Sometimes the first set of games in a week can really tell you what's gonna happen in that second set of games in that week. So I want to see how these first few games go, because last week, if I'm not mistaken, there was some favorites that lost, which when I went into those Sunday night games, I was worried because I was like, damn, a lot of favorites lost. Are the favorites on this game on this day gonna lose? They didn't, but still nervous nonetheless. So we'll see how these games turn out, and then we'll revisit you guys tomorrow morning, and we'll talk about tomorrow's set of games and whatever news. We'll recap these games, and we'll go from there. So until then, thanks for watching the Quachi Show. I'm going to catch y'all on the back end. Until next time, stay sharp. Always remember that.